it's a visit with the person of the real high strange person today, because in a way we're excited. This is the first time we are in the studio after the shutdown from COVID. So you come right along, because we don't really know how this is going to work out with the masks and everything. And so new experience that we can share with you, and I think that's kind of cool. And I thought, what is this, May something, 2001, just so you know. I'm going to introduce you to my guest and then talk to you again for a minute. This is my sister, Becca Pendland. And we're going to tell you how this all came about. And for those of you that's familiar with my book, and the moral of the story is, it explains to you who I am and how I got to America and all of this. So this is actually a continuation of what you already know. So hi, Becca.
Hi.
My nose is itching.
The what?
My nose is itching.
That means someone's thinking about you then.
Well, where I come from, they say get punched in the face.
Huh.
See, so even though we're sisters, we are this far apart on some things, you know.
Exactly 11 years apart.
11, same birthday, 11 years apart.
I know, that's what I find so bizarre.
Yeah.
Is that how we found each other through DNA. It was just...
Yeah.
And then we're more like twins that were just born 11 years apart.
Yeah. I jokingly say we came from the same petri dish. Mm-hmm. And more it is apparent that that's what happened. So that's what we want to tell you about today. Like I said, for those of you that read my book, and the moral of the story is, leading up to all of this is in here. And for those of you that have not read the book, technically speaking, I was born on a different continent. I was sold by my grandmother. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have a family or anything, and I didn't know where I came from. The only thing I had, where's the case? The only thing I had was my father's name and a cigarette etui, a case. I brought it, but I don't know what I did with it.
Okay.
Well, anyway, so here I am 73 years old, and lo and behold, one day I get a letter from an email, actually. Get an email from a lady, and she requests that I speak to my daughter because my daughter isn't answering her email.
Right.
And I did that, and then the lady wrote the second time. She said, I haven't heard anything. So I tried it again, and I said, well, I hate writing. Give me a call. Mm-hmm. And she did, and out of nowhere, I asked, what's your maiden name? Mm-hmm.
And I said Mathis, and that's where I thought that's kind of where the connection was going to be.
Yeah.
And through Michelle, and then we were talking, and then you said something about, but I know who my biological father is, mm-hmm. And you said,
what's your maiden name? And
yeah,
you said?
Mathis. But then I said, and you told me Furman Pruitt. Yeah. And I was like, excuse me, what?
Yeah.
Huh? And I go, he's like the long lost relative of the family. It's like, that's the last thing I expected to hear. And I was like, my grandmother, she just like, he disappeared in the late 50s, and no one ever knew what happened to him. No one ever knew. And to the best of my knowledge, he never knew that he had a daughter.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah. And and then to find out that you and I have the exact same birth date, exactly 11 years apart.
Same DNA.
Yeah, and our DNA is way closer than we're supposed to be. You know, it's like, and it was just like, it's just baffling. And and then the more that we talk to each other and visit with each other, we found out more things that are in common and similar. We bought the same clothes. It's kind of like twins. I jokingly say it's like the twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito that, you know, but yet they're mixed up in the petri dish.
It's a petri dish. Now, interestingly enough, the more we talked, in the moral book here, I talk about the fact when I, at one point, I was supposed to go to the Roseanne Barr show, and but that got canceled for whatever reason, so I didn't get to go there. But the interesting thing is, had I went to the Roseanne Barr show, I would have run into
We would have probably
Becca.
met then.
Now, tell them about that part.
Yeah, well, I worked with Roseanne for about 15 years. I've known her for close to like 30 years.
Yeah.
And but I worked with her for quite a number of years. You know, a little bit with a talk show, and then a radio show she did, and things like that.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting to find out that we're we have, as we're taught, it's like our paths have gone like
Parallel,
this.
yeah.
We're doing the same things, and we're crossing. And it's surprising that it just now, because we cross so much, that we were just now meeting.
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing, from the RV travel to the same places, the same type of people, experiences and stuff, and it's just.
So
really
when Tammy Bauer, if that's in here too, when Tammy Bauer and I went to Colorado to do ghost shows, we visited, we did shows on haunted hotels and haunted restaurants. And one of the places we more than likely ended up, I haven't found the footage, is...
We had the Full Circle Cafe in Georgetown, Colorado.
Yeah.
And we had ghosts that resided there. And when it first happened to me, I knew I wasn't crazy. The internet was new. I got online. I was like, what did I see? What's happening to me? And a TV show called Sightings contacted me, and they go, can we come and look at your cafe? And I was like, sure. And so we came. They found a whole lot. They said that Georgetown was one of the most haunted places in America. And we had several resident ghosts in our cafe. I was afraid it was going to scare people off. And as it turned out, people came because of that. So we became kind of the haunted cafe.
Yeah.
And so at one point you visited my cafe.
Right,
and
because we were looking for ghosts. Yeah, we were. So some kind of way we kept passing each other without realizing who we was. Now I'm going to go forward to a few months ago. As you know, we all got a stimulus check from our good presidents. And the only thing that I wanted to do is buy me some pants. And so I saved a little bit because the majority of my stimulus went to home repairs, or like roof and everything. So I ordered 3 pairs of pants because I couldn't make up my mind about the color. So I have 3 sets of pants that came from China, a slow boat, I may ask. I add 4 months it took for them to get here. And when they got here, they were way too big. So I didn't want to send them back because I thought it would be easier just to have somebody alter them, but I couldn't find anybody. So next thing I know, I mention it to Becca, and then you pick it up from there.
So she mentions it to me, and she shows me a picture of what she got, and I go, wait a minute. I go, you're freaking not going to believe this. You're seriously not going to believe this. So I went through, and I knew exactly where they were. I went through, and I grabbed my overalls that I wore almost every single day at the cafe, and was kind of my, quote, trademark, and I held them up, and I go, look. And I go, these are mine, but I've gained so much weight, they're too small. I can't wear them.
Right.
So hence.
So she brought the small ones, and she got the big ones in there.
The big ones.
They're the same ones. In fact, you had those pants on in an article at People magazine.
I did. I was, People magazine did a story on us back in the 90s, and I had the overalls in the picture that appeared in People magazine. So I was like, look at this, I have them. It's the same thing.
Same thing, yeah. It continues. Then I have a picture with my son at an event with a blue dress on.
And then you sent it to me. It was a picture of you and David.
Yeah.
And I looked at it immediately, and I said, oh my God. I said, I had that same dress. I had the exact same identical dress. And I go, give me a minute. And I went back and I looked and I found at one point I was on the TV show The Price is Right, and I had it just like saved it on like a thing on my computer, and I sent it to Lillian, and it was like, Rebecca Mathis, come on down, and here I am, I'm wearing the blue dress. The identical
dress.
blue dress.
It was actually about the same time frame that this event took place. So the second book is called Remembering Your Future. And if you take a look at this picture here, the artist that painted that didn't know me or anything like that, so he did. And one day we realized it was the state of Texas. And so this being the future, and you live in?
I was born and raised in Texas.
Texas, you see what I mean? So it's just been really, really hard. So what we've been trying to do is retrace some of the things that had happened and how it got like that.
What I just find is so odd, it's like a lot of people that are twins and stuff is that they will feel or experience things in the same thing, even though they're in two separate places.
Right.
Like they might buy the same shirt, or they are seeing the same kind of similar kind of a thing, or similar experiences. We've gone through all of that, but we're 11 years apart.
Yeah, we have never met. Yeah.
And that's so. It's to me, it's just really fascinating. It's like, and I was just like, you're effing me, you're kidding, right? It's like, no way. Even down to, I have nobody in my life have I ever met that has a purse habit like I do. I have a three purse, a big purse, a medium purse, a small purse. They all go inside the big purse. And I have this one to do like immediate things, and this one, and then this morning we're chatting, and she brings out her purse, and she's got big purse, little purse. I go, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
We even pack the purses the same way.
The same thing, yeah. and if you read the book, I am, after all, the person of high strangeness.
In your travels?
In my travels. But what happened is I never could figure out how I really got here, because the family situation was so crazy. Like I said, my grandmother on the mother's side sold me to a German family. That's how I ended up in Germany. And the reason I was given at that time is that she was afraid of my green eyes and didn't know what else to do with it. Well, through my travels, as you have seen, the people on my show, the speakers and the conventions I used to go to, remote viewing, UFO conferences and things like that. Well, during my travels, I met quite a few people that I introduced to you, and I'm real familiar with some of the shady background that came along with that at one point. Well, as it turns out, my biological father, namely Furman, worked in that field, and Becca had military records, so we can actually put some of these things together. No.
The last time he was seen was in the late 50s, and he was on his way to the White Sands missile proving ground, which is where a lot of the, not far from Roswell, not far from a lot of where the like UFO activity was going on, and really, really top secret things were happening. And he left, and he said he would send for his things, and he was basically never heard from again.
Gone. So now, in the meantime, I was at a remote viewing conference. And I don't know what got into me, but we were all we had a banquet, and we were all there, so I had everybody in that field there. And I got up and banged on the wine glass like you see in the movies, and I said, I have some questions for you. And so I asked if anybody there was aware of the connection between the Neanderthals and aliens, if they were aware of Helgoland, the island where they had taken me for experimentation, and I asked if anybody had ever heard of Herman Wayne Freud. And it got quiet. Everybody was quiet. And eventually somebody said, well, yeah, what did they call it? Werner von Braunband. That's the only thing that was said. A few months later, lo and behold, people started looking into the connection between the Neanderthals and the aliens. And a little bit after that, the German government decided to send out a notification, and they asked, would the children that had been in Helgoland, that island that they took us to for psychic experiences and all these things, if we would come forward so they could pay us restitution. And they also stated they had lost all the records, so they would like to know what we know and what we experienced. And so, of course, money or no money, I'm not going to do that, you see. But I thought it was really bizarre that all this happened just a few months after that banquet when I asked about these things. And so now I have reason to believe that they recognized my biological father's name. Mm-hmm. We still don't know what happened to him.
No.
But the universe fixed it so we would run into each other.
The universe finally got us together.
Yeah. Now, at that time, nobody thought about. I know they did a lot of experiments, but then when the DNA test from Becca came, you were born what year?
I was born in 58.
58. I was born 47. Now I know in this modern day and age, you can freeze embryos mm-hmm. and things like that, mm-hmm. and use them at a later time. That's why we kiddingly say we're from the same petri mm-hmm. dish, because they probably experimented with things like that back there, and we did. And one went here and one went there. Mm-hmm. Except the families wasn't aware of it; they wasn't told. Mm-mm. You know.
Yeah. It's just, it's like it's just beyond kind of crazy. It's just wild. I mean, with the same experiences and stuff, it's one of those things that just don't know how to explain it, but it is, you know. And growing up, like I always felt like I had a piece of me missing.
Right. And when she came, now I have a half sister in Europe, and when I went to visit, and when I first met her, it was not the same. She was just a person, and I was glad to see her, and I hugged her. But when Becca came along, it was like this other, like I was home. Like,
it was like instant bond.
It was
just an instant
really
bond.
Unbelievable, yeah. So.
And and then I would go back. I was looking at your photographs and stuff, and then it was like, oh my God, I used to have glasses like that, you know. Yeah. And then at one point our hair was the same. Yeah. And it just, you know, and then she was showing me videos around your house and everything, and I said, I had that rug. I had the, you know, it's just crazy. Since we're wearing masks, you know what I look like, but since we're wearing masks, we can show it to you. But at one point, I'll play an insert, and we will show you side by side where we're almost identical mm-hmm. in the way we look, yeah. Yeah. And I knew instantly that when I first saw your pictures, I was like, oh my gosh. You know, it's like, this is a sister. We look so much alike, and the different things and just a little bit apart and stuff. It just, you know, was just really, really wild. And it was just hard to explain, but we do. It's just so much the same. And you know, the other day I was looking for, I forgot what it was, something that I thought you might need, and I ran into a picture and I said, oh gee, how did I get that? Because I thought it was you when you were young. Mm-hmm. But it turned out it was me, and then go from there. Yeah, and I don't remember. But it was just so much alike. You know, and I'm not sure exactly offhand which one you're talking about. The one with the yellow shirt. Oh, the yellow shirt one. Yeah. Oh my, we had So it's the picture of the yellow shirt, and I said, and it was back kind of like in the 80s, I think. Yeah. And it was a bright yellow shirt, and I had the Linda Evans shoulder pads and all that stuff, but it had that paint on it that was like the puffy yellow paint or whatnot. And I go, I had a shirt just like that. And she goes, but my friend made this for me. And I said, but I had one like the same. I said, but the thing, and I said, it had the puffy art stuff on it. And I said, and then I ruined it in the dryer. I said, I put it in the dryer by mistake, and all the puffy stuff stuck together. And the same thing
happened to me. Yeah. So here's these parallels.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited in a way. I'm really excited about the new technology about DNA and everything. But in some areas, it's somewhat disturbing that we can. That things like that is possible, where you can just mix up people, put them in a jar, and
I don't know.
You're talking about 3 continents here. You're talking about Africa, Europe, and America, but they all came from the same place. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, it's just it's hard to even if you start thinking about it and then now they're talking about the government's finally acknowledging that UFOs and things like that exist or have been around and things like that, and it makes you think, it's like, okay, what else is there out there that we don't know? It could be stranger things have happened, I guess,
But somewhere along the line at that convention, I hit a nerve. I was unaware of that until recently, just a few weeks ago, where they released a documentary, The Third Eye Spies. And on there, by the way, is everybody that you've seen on my show, Edgar Mitchell and Lynn Buchanan and Ingo Swann, all these people that I familiarized you with. And so now I actually understand the background of all of this, because doing my association and things that we did, like self-murder cases and things like that, they were then private citizens. What I didn't realize was that what came before, and then that's where the military records come in that you had to verify some of that stuff that I've been talking about, not knowing what I'm really saying, you know.
And we still don't, we still don't really know, and we're just finding little bits and pieces. And I find it's odd too that, where Furman's concerned, he was one of like 12 kids, and he's the only one out of all those kids we don't have a photograph of. To our knowledge, there is absolutely no photograph of him whatsoever. I've been looking for one. And all I have found is a brother that they say he looked similar to that.
So poof, the magic dragon
disappeared.
Yeah, just like that. Yeah.
And so it's like poof, where did he go? It's just odd circumstances that it would be like that,
And the fact that you're part of the family, had no idea I was even in existence,
Yeah, it's just and I know that he was loved. I know that my grandmother just adored him and missed him and stuff. So but it just was gone, So.
Yeah. So when you do those DNA tests.
You never know.
You never know what's in it. It's
yeah, that's how it says. It's like, how could we share this much DNA?
It's an alphabet soup, In fact, some friends of mine, they were really hungry. They checked this, and he said, I found a cyst and I found this, and it really got on my nerves because it was almost like a fad. Everybody wanted to know who is who. But then when the shoe's on the other foot, and it's really bizarre. So check out who you are, you know. I have to cough.
Yep. And I know we went to you meant to bring today whatnot, and that you have a case that a cigarette case from Tripoli.
Yeah.
That he had left with your
my mother. It's the only thing I have.
So, and it specifically said, to Engine love Furman.
Right.
And and then when I held it the other day, I got immediately just started welled up with tears. It was really emotional. It just when I touched it, it was just like a bolt of electricity or something. It was really, it was wild.
So ever since I've been in America, I do a lot of things with the native tribes. They always ask me what tribe I belong to. Well, I told them I'm from a different continent. That doesn't apply to me, right? Now it turns out it's Choctaw, and they are the original mound builders. So when I told them, I said, hey, and they laughed because they said, that's why you're talking to the mounds. It gets better than that. I was telling a lady about it, and she said, well, I took you there. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, when you was in Oklahoma, we went to the tribal center, you did the firework, you went here, you there. I had no recollection of it. And she said, you better read your book so you know where you've been.
Exactly. And then the whole family, they lived on Choctaw Chickasaw reservation.
Yep.
And that was their territory, and that's where they lived.
That's where they lived, yeah.
And stuff, it was like, yeah. So that was another eye-opening thing too.
Yeah. So we learned a whole lot. So Becca finally came to visit. The reason we got so delayed is because of the COVID.
And then, yeah, it was. I had a window that we had been talking about a year and a half now, I guess.
Yeah.
Haven't we? And there was a window, and it's like as soon as I got the window, and I had my vaccination, fully vaccinated, and anybody out there that's not vaccinated needs to be vaccinated. And I got that, and I've basically been quarantined since like March of last year, and stuff. And I said, the first opportunity, I'm hopping on a plane. And I'm going to come here. And so we physically met for the first time day before yesterday.
Day before yesterday, yeah. And one of the things with the mask and everything, I'm having issues because I'm having trouble breathing because of the obstruction in my throat. And those of you that watch me all the time, you know I cough all the time because of this obstruction. In fact, Malcolm, who you know, was telling everybody I was going to say smoking. I've been coughing since 94. And so I'm struggling a little bit with this setup, but we have really strict rules at the station here. And so
we just
we
discovered
kind of
that in
excited.
common,
We're the
too.
very first ones that.
We just discovered that in common too, because I have the same thing in my throat.
Yeah, so that's why I cough, and I can't see anything because it fogs up my glasses. But we really need to follow directions because this disease is ugly, just so you know. Oh, speaking of ugly, update on my condition. My MS is not doing so well either. So if you see me crawling on the street somewhere, make sure I get in the car and find my way home. Yeah. Yeah,
and because of you and your condition, when we were talking about it, I said, hey, what? And it's like, as it turns out, I'm going to have a lot of the same symptoms and things and all that you have had. So now I'm having the testing done, and sure enough, I've got some lesions and stuff in my brain, and with the MRI, and they're looking at like MS and some other possibilities, along with they think maybe I've had like maybe 10 small strokes. Sometimes I have a hard time getting especially since the COVID, the fog brain and the whole thing, I have a hard time getting the words to say. So it's similar things like that we've experienced health-wise and stuff. Like, me too.
Now, since the station was closed for so long, we did manage to do the prediction shows. Show one. I think next month we updated, and Andrew helped. He came to the house. We filmed it at the house, so you did catch up, on target with that. And so I don't know what we're going to do from here on in because things is really still kind of complicated. But please go along with the rules. Rules are made to be followed. I know they're irritating sometimes. For instance, if there's a stop sign, stop. Because chances are people had to die for that stop sign to get there, you know what I mean? So instead of jumping up and down talking about it's my right to do this or that, well, that's fine.
Right.
But rules are made for a reason, and sometimes people die. So somebody even thinks of making a rule like that, you know, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's just, out of your respect for your fellow person. There's just for, I have rheumatoid arthritis, and a lot of people think, so that's just something that your hand, it cripples up your hands. It doesn't always just cripple up your hands. It also affects your immune system with the medications and stuff you have to take. So, when certain people are on certain things, it makes them very easy to catch stuff. So you have to think not only about yourself, but you have to think of the other people that you're around. So it's really, really important, to do that. And
yeah. So the friends are well familiar with my life up till now. So talk about your evolution, your choice of work, because we were in the same fields of work. We were doing the same thing all the time.
But just in a different. You were more involved with the music industry, and I was more involved with the, I guess, like television and comedy, and stuff. But we're both producers, and I used to do, produce various different shows and things like that back in, and I wanted to get into it forever. And then I finally made the move from Texas out to LA back in the 80s. And then, but we traveled almost in the same kind of circles, you know, and it was like, well, I used to, and would put shows together or, different things together, and publicity and down to doing radio shows and talk shows and the whole thing. So we've had like a very similar background in the entertainment world that we've done, and which is I find interesting too, is that it's not that often you just meet someone. It's like you've done all these things at the same time, but just in a different kind of world.
We know quite a few people, mutual. We met under different circumstances, and before she goes home, I'm going to teach her how to bend spoons.
You're gonna what?
I'm going to teach you how to bend spoons.
I know. I'm excited about that. Yeah. I'm excited to learn that. And it's something last night we were watching. We were watching that Third Eye Spy.
That's
thing.
That movie I was talking about. Yeah.
And they were talking about ESP.
Yeah.
And the testing. And I go, wait a minute. I said, I remember when I was a kid. I remember sitting at a table, and it was like a little cubicle thing, and there was someone across from the table, and it was like a game that they had, and I thought it was part of my classroom thing, that they would say, okay, well, can you guess, what card am I holding up? And you wouldn't see, you would just see a card, and you would have to guess if it was a star, a square, a circle, a triangle, or whatever. And they wrote it down, and that was just, I remembered that from school. And then you said last night, that's not normal school.
No, my upbringing was a little more drastic than yours, but the thing is here, sometimes, I've been tested over and over, but then yesterday, changed the subject almost. Yesterday she goes to the store and decide, tell that.
Oh, okay. I never buy, once in a blue moon, I'll buy a lottery ticket. Once in a blue moon. Never buy them, whatever. I had to go to the little market, and a friend took me down there. I wanted to get some coffee drinks and things like that. And then I'm standing at the checkout counter, and I checked everything out, and I paused for a minute, and I had seen it kind of when I walked in, but there was a spot. It said there was a spot number 11, and the ticket in number 11 was a $5 ticket. And I go, November the 5th. Give me 2 of those. And so I brought them home, and the tickets were for it said $75,000 on it. And I said, here we go, sis, let's go see what we won. And so but I never buy them. I never win anything on those things. I scratched mine off, and I won $5, and I was like, woohoo! And then you didn't think you won anything on yours, but you scratched yours off. As it turned out, you won $50.
And then this morning, I get an email, and it was in, I have sources that sent me information that I can put on my website, on my Facebook. They sent me notification the $75,000 ticket was sold in Nisqually. So the point I was trying to get to is just because a lot of people have intuition and abilities and just know things, because it runs in families. Genetically, there isn't just one person that knows things, what you call psychics or something. There's many words for it. And so what I'm thinking is that Bruce she's talking about, where they had her paint pictures and things like that, she thought it was part of the school. They probably tested her too. And so everybody has kind of an intuition type thing. Where was I going with that? I'm lost.
What we were talking about was like the 75,000, the thing. So
yeah, well, that was way over here somewhere. Yeah, but the whole thing is we all have things in common if we just talk to each other, you know, and get to the bottom of it. Oh, I can't breathe.
Is it kind of like that how many degrees from Kevin Bacon thing? You know, I feel like everybody figures out the degrees and where it's at and stuff.
I don't know what that means. Would you?
Well, there's a game out there, and there's the actor Kevin Bacon, and you have to. I'm a 2 degree or 1 degree. I'm not sure if I'm a 1 degree or a 2 degree from Kevin Bacon. It was a game that, okay, here's Kevin Bacon. How can you tie yourself to Kevin Bacon? You know, and
who is Kevin Bacon?
He's an actor.
Oh, okay.
He's an actor. Okay. And I said, okay, well, I'm 1 degree away from Kevin Bacon because I was a publicist. I used to do publicity for a kid named Bobby Jacoby. And Bobby Jacoby was in the movie Tremors starring Kevin Bacon. So I'm like, so if we did it that way, then you would be like a 3rd degree from Kevin Bacon. So everyone's trying to figure out how they're connected to this one person, Kevin Bacon. And you'd be kind of surprised. You could, I guess, probably do it with anybody. You know, I didn't know President Obama, but you know, I know someone that knew President Obama. So how the degrees, how far separated you are, is from like knowing the same people. Does that make sense?
A little bit. I'm trying to follow you.
Yeah, it was just a funny game, and so it was. So it's kind of like the Kevin Bacon game. If you know someone, you can find enough people in that little. It's basically it's the small world theory. It's like how we're all kind of interconnected in the whole.
Yeah,
it's like the small world theory.
Yeah, well, you're all familiar with that because we have looked at that in detail. How we all either come back in groups or related to somebody. Yeah, well, speaking of that, when this whole thing came about, I was really concerned. Because he was looking for my daughter, whose biological father, is also from that tribal area.
Yeah, he lives about an hour away from me.
And I'm from a different continent, and we were all on a different continent, and I was so worried. We were kissing cousins. So just because you don't live in the same place doesn't mean anything. I thought, oh my God.
I know.
How did that happen?
Yeah. It was totally unexpected, but I mean, it's just amazing, and I love it, and I'm so glad that you're in my life and that we finally met, and look forward to more adventure. Just everything. It just is. I feel complete now, kind of. You know.
And there's really no reason for racial, give me a word. The whole thing is if you dig long enough, you find out you're all from the same stock at one point. So it really makes no sense to not like this race or that race because we're all interracial. And we can prove that, you see what I mean? And it's okay not to like somebody, but the way it is now, everybody's an enemy. It's really sick.
Yeah,
because we all some kind of way related. Even to the Neanderthals, we proved that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and I don't know a whole lot about the Neanderthal stuff. I really don't. I don't understand it or whatnot. But I do know that in the DNA that I have, supposedly I have quite a bit of Neanderthal in me. But I don't understand what a Neanderthal even is, really.
She didn't even know what a Neanderthaler was.
And I still don't really. I just know I have a lot of whatever it is, and more so than some of the other people that have been, tested and stuff. So I have no idea. something else new to learn.
Yeah, so we are the people of the planet Earth. That's who we are, and the sooner we realize that, the sooner we can calm down and do things for each other instead of against each other. You know what I mean?
That's the way it needs
so
to be.
from that angle, the DNA thing is a good thing.
We have to get back
know.
to that.
Yeah.
We have to get back to that. We can't. There's. I have no patience whatsoever for racism, and the lack of tolerance and hating someone because of the color of their skin or the way they may have been born or something. I have real issues with that, and I'm having a hard time with that being in where I'm currently in the area I'm currently living at. And so I like being in a multicultural environment is where I am best and feel the best.
Well, when I came along, I didn't know how to explain my physical, the family, Olympia family, how the multicultural part of it, because I didn't know who you was, because we have everything. I mean,
and I was excited.
Everything. Huh?
I was like, yay! Yes.
Yeah. But you just don't know. I'm trying to find a loop here. Usually I loop things together, but I'm all over the place. That mask is irritating me. And can you even understand me?
Yeah. I mean, it's taking a little bit of effort to hear, because I have a hard time with my hearing. It's taking a little.
Well, you're a little muffled. I hope the friends understand what we say in here.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Yeah, but Dan Bennett, let me talk about Dan Bennett for a minute. He's been ill for a long, long time. He's on everybody's Facebook page. He is feeling somewhat better. He is in the control room, and wherever we mess up, him and Andrew, I'm sure they're gonna fix. Well, no, I don't want them to fix it, but they'll cover it up. How's that? They're doing really well with that. Yeah.
Yeah, you can do amazing jobs, amazing things with good camera work and good editing and a green screen.
And and that too. So I hope everybody is staying cautious and healthy. And did you think you was gonna get that old?
I'm sorry, what?
Did you think you was gonna get that old?
You know, I always wanted to live to be 105. That was what I always said. I want to live to be 105. But you know, anymore, I'm only 62, but I've lived an incredible life, a really full life, and I've been on so many different adventures, and I've done so many more. It's like, you know, whenever I go, and I don't really want to live to be 105 anymore. I'm done. I'm ready. Anytime. But no, and I used to think 62 it's not so old anymore, but
I've been trying to get out of here for quite a while, but it's not working for me. Every time I think I'm done, I start another phase. It's like my 9 lives are up, but I'm starting something else now, so that's really bizarre too, you know.
Yeah. It was hard when I found out that I had the RA and stuff, and it kind of put things into a different perspective for me. And I was a young mother. I had my first child had just turned 18. I became a grandmother at the age of 36. And, you know, and then now my grandson already has 2 kids, so I'm a great grandmother.
That's parallel.
I'm 62.
Yeah. That's parallel.
So I've had a lot of, you know, and I've really been able to do a lot of really, you know, incredible things and experience a lot of incredible things that, you know, a lot of people. I was able to travel for 3 years in an RV, which is another thing. You lived in that and traveled in the RV.
Yeah.
I did too. And and so there's just, I just consider myself, you know, really lucky, and I don't have any complaints. I didn't get to go to the top of Machu Picchu, but I've seen it in a lot of pictures, and maybe you can teach me how to do the remote thing and I can go there.
I'll do that, but I always wanted to jump out of an airplane, but I never did.
I did.
She did, yeah, so.
I did that a few years ago.
Yeah.
I think that should be, jumping out of an airplane should be a life requirement. It's just the thing of just letting go, and whatever is going to be, and just feel free. And it's just an incredible experience that, you know, I would do again in a heartbeat.
But I've walked through fire. You haven't.
No, I have not walked through
fire.
fire.
Yeah, but you just. Walk through the fire without burning yourself.
Yeah. No, I never did that one. And but I mean, there's just I don't know. It's just I mean, there was, you know, just I mean, I've just done a lot of things, you know, that and been on just I mean so many different adventures and unexpected things and unexpected pleasures and stuff. So it's like I'm not complaining about any of it.
Yeah, well, we got some stuff on the table here. Chehalis opened the store now. It's of Exit 99. It's a beautiful store. They also have, besides medicinal, what is it called? I don't know.
The marijuana, the cannabis?
Cannabis, that's the word. Yeah, we went there, and so we went there and talked to them for a while, and they have really nice T-shirts.
They really do. This is a fun shirt.
Yeah,
they got weed, Exit 99. It was fun.
Yeah, and in the front of my house, there's a big sign that says "Got weed," pointing you the other way from a different store. So it
really should be. You know, this stuff is. You know, I don't partake because it just there's something in it that makes me nauseated and I get sick. And but I would love to partake. It should be legal everywhere. Where I'm at, it's not legal. I think just the CBD part of it's legal, but it should be legal everywhere. You know, it helps people and
I'm going to run out of time. See, so anyway, so these are all things that was given to me, like always. I'm still growing crystals. As you know, they just kind of keep growing. Isn't that the one you sent that's growing?
I think so.
Yeah. These are all new things that you haven't seen yet, and I thank you. Keep up the good work. Keep me informed. Tell me weird stories. If you want to be on the show, say something. Because now that I got a taste of it, I'm going to do a new show every week for you. So, and I do thank you for making that long trip.
Oh, yeah, of course. I was so excited. I'm just so glad I got to come.
And we're going to show you a picture of what we really look like. Thank you, Dan. Thank you. Hello. Nobody.
You are very welcome.
Thank you, Andrew. He's not talking either, but that's okay. Okay, well, thank you, and see you next week. We were all over the place. We don't even know if it made any sense, but that's okay. Nice visiting with you next week, and
oh, it was wonderful. It's nice.
Adios.
I love Washington.
See ya.
It's great.
Okay, I have no idea. Look. I know I told you goodbye, and I see you next week. Well, I sort of lied, I guess, in the way that came about. Our circumstances have changed. Becca had an emergency and had to return to Texas, and so there I was. We intended to back up everything we said with documents, and that was the storyline that I had in my mind, because I know the story was enjoyable, but it's kind of fantastic, and in a way, you know. So we thought, well, we'll take all the documents and show you that we really knew what we was talking about. So since everything has changed, I had to rearrange my brain, like I sometimes do. And so we're going to do it a little different. So what I want to talk to you about today is, it is really important, from my point of view, to look for your ancestors. I have several friends that been searching for their people, and I thought it was a little overdone, you know, like we all get little judgmental occasionally, and then people get excited, and that's all they want to talk about. And well, then by coincidence, when Becca came along, I realized the importance of what had really happened here. Now keep in mind, I have another sister. Her name is Jeanette. She lives in Europe. And when I was 27 years old was the first time I met my mother and that part of the family. I called her and I asked her, I said, Jeanette, what did it feel like when I came off the train? What did it feel like? Because she was on the receiving end and I was coming. And well, she didn't really remember, so it must not been all that important. And because I wanted to know emotionally what would I be up against. But I like for you to know when Becca arrived, it was a total different circumstance, a totally different feeling. The fact that we are 11 years apart, but our DNA is as close as twins are. So we have reason to believe that um, we jokingly said we came from the same petri dish. But it was like I didn't realize there was a part of me that was missing. Well, when she arrived, I finally found that part. And so back to Jeanette, even though we have different mothers, um, but it didn't feel the same. So what I would advise everybody to do when you get a letter or a request from someone saying, I think I'm related to you, please follow up on that, because you never know how important this could be. It can lead you to the illnesses you had in the family or anything like that. And I'm sorry that I behooted for so long, in my own case. And so now that Becca is gone, this part that I was talking about is no longer here, and I can tell the difference. So it lets me know it was not my imagination that two people can be that close. Like she had mentioned the movie Twins. Well, I had never seen it, and but now I have. So instead of being short and tall, we are 11 years apart, and that's about it. So please reach out to your blood relatives and learn about your history. It's really, really important that you know who you are, where you came from. It'll turn your life upside down somewhat, because what you thought was your truth is no longer. Sometimes it's even racial. That's my Alexa trying to wake me up to do this. Um, Sometimes, like in our case, we were born on two different continents. Even at that, here we were related like that. So take a good look at your ancestry, and the other thing it'll do, you may find out you are not who you think you are, and that's going to help us to balance the racial divide that we have at the moment, because we may have some ancestry that we're not aware of, and we are all the people of the planet Earth. And so I think I'm going to tell you goodbye. Here's my buzzer. It's time to go. This is the actual goodbye. And take a look what it looked like the first time Becca and I met. So see you next week. Bye.
I don't have to.